There are two kinds of monsters in FNAF, the ones who make the killer, and the ones who light the match. Hey guys, Horror Lorekeeper here. Today we're poking the hornet's nest with a simple question that turns out to be anything but. Are William Afton and Henry Emily really that different? We're going to compare their appearance and vibe across the games, how they behave when we actually encounter them, the shared timeline that welds their lives together from family diner days to a restaurant designed to burn, and the strongest interpretations about where they overlap and where the line in the sand truly is. So sit back, relax, and let's dive back into the world of FNAF. First, context. This question lives in the stretch between the early family diner era, FNAF 3 hidden mini games, the FNAF 2 timeframe, puppet music box, sister location facility under the carnival paint, and pizzeria simulator, FNAF 6. That cheery storefront built over a salvage lab and a crematorium's worth of parts and service. Upstairs, you've got the greasy pizza smell, sticky floors, and neon party banners. Down below, cold metal corridors, humming vents, and the low roar of machines that were never meant for birthdays. Afton and Henry co-create the dream. Kids show up, something unspeakable happens outside in the rain. After that, one man uses tech to harvest the dead, and the other man uses tech to contain them. Same blueprint, opposite hearts. If you were standing in that first diner, watching them shake hands, could you tell which one would become which kind of monster? Appearance, faces of two monsters. Before the psychology, let's see them, the way the game staged their faces. William Afton shows up in 3 bodies. Human William is neat and forgettable, ordinary and predatory, the kind of dad you wouldn't look at twice at a PTA meeting. The retro purple guy is a stick figure silhouette with too much intent, thin limbs, sharp angles, moving like a glitch with a purpose. Then there's Springtrap, Scraptrap, yellow-green plating torn open, meat threaded through hinges, jaw perpetually ajar, mangled and nightmarish, like rot trapped in a suit that never stops creaking. He's a walking, you can't get rid of me. Henry Emily is almost the negative of that. We rarely see him, but we hear him. Slow, measured, deliberate. Imagine an older engineer's face lit by monitor glow, eye bags from sleepless nights, a steady voice in a salvage tape that never trembles even when he names his own daughter. Expressionless, but unsettling, not because he's a predator, but because he's already made peace with dying. By the time of FNAF 6, his appearance is architectural. Lefty's star badge, the bolted salvage chairs, the vents that only pull air one way, the restaurant layout itself like a diagram of regret. Henry is the man whose face is a plan, same calm delivery, different soul underneath. Which voice would you trust if all you had was the tape and the dark? Function, when they move, what they do. Function and behavior, when do we actually encounter them and what flips their switches. Afton triggers when systems can hide him. After hours hallways, springlock suits, training tapes, maintenance rooms. The back door of empathy where nobody checks the cameras. He thrives in the hum of fluorescent lights and the blind spots between rooms. Threat profile. He creates the threats, builds lures for kids, experiments with Remnant, crawls back inside a suit that should have stayed dead, and keeps using whatever will move. Henry triggers when containment is possible. He doesn't stalk knights. He waits until everything is gathered. In FNAF 6, he appears at the end of the checklist. Once Lefty has her, once Springtrap is inside, once the vents are set and the grease in the walls is just dry enough to burn. Threat profile. He names the threats, locks the doors, and then burns them. One hides inside the system, the other weaponizes the system's end. If you were in Henry's chair, would you pull the fire or look for another way out? Phases, if they were animatronic bosses. If we staged them as animatronics with phases, they'd escalate like this. William Afton. Basic human killer behind the mascot. Organized lures, quiet back rooms, mid-lab narcissist, remnant possession tinkering, believes he outranks death, late, Springtrap, Scraptrap, rotting corpse in a rabbit suit, persistence as personality, Henry Emily, basic, builder partner, brings characters to life, trusts the wrong man, mid, grieving engineer, security puppet and protective tech, guilt simmering into plans, late, FNAF 6 architect, salvage rituals, Lefty as a cage, recorded eulogy, accepts his own end. Same 3-act rise, different final form. Which final phase feels more monstrous to you? The thing the at won't die, or the man who designs his own funeral? Shared story, same timeline, split path. Now the walkthrough, shared story as a playthrough that makes the comparisons pop. Setup, 2 men build a place for kid. Wood paneled stage, cheap posters, a small town's repeat customers. The air is heavy with hot cheese, fryer oil, and sugar from birthday cake. William handles the knives you can't see. Henry handles the smiles you can. Similarity number 1. Both are fathers and engineers who think with tools and rooms. Same dream, shared stage. Different intentions, hiding off frame, inciting wound, the rain and the locked door. Outside, cold rain beats against asphalt, turning the parking lot into a mirror of smeared neon. The locked door glows warm from the inside. Laughter, music, the clatter of plates. A child, Charlotte, is on the wrong side of that threshold. The security puppet shatters its glass, throws itself out into the storm, and drags its little striped body across the wet concrete. It reaches her and just lies there, metal against skin, rain soaking both. Love fuses to circuitry. Meanwhile, disappearances start stacking. Children go in and don't come out. Similarity the Satu. Both men learn that their creations can touch the afterlife. Difference number 1, William responds with harvest. How do I use this? Henry responds with protection. How do I stop this? If you were watching that door on camera, rain pouring down, who would you blame? The suits, the system, or yourself? Escalation. Kids vanish, tech advances. Afton turns possession into a laboratory. Sister Location shows us polished chrome halls that smell like ozone and disinfectant. Pastel clown paint smeared over surgical steel. Voices coo and comfort while animatronic arms quietly open you up. Care is just a skin over experiments. Henry's response is quieter, more suffocating. He bakes guardian logic into design. Puppet first, then lefty. His workbench smells like old coffee, ink, and solder. He writes procedures that sound like prayers. Win the box, follow the checklist, seal the room. Similarity number 3. Both retool a kid's venue into a device. Difference number 2. Afton's devices create suffering. Henry's devices aggregate suffering to end it. The masks crack. Families fall apart. Elizabeth dies to circus babies lure. Michael descends into vented metal intestines to put her back together. The crying child's last breaths echo under hospital beeps after a stage stunt goes wrong and jaws slam shut. Birthday balloons deflate slowly in empty rooms. Party hats sit abandoned on sticky tables. The smell of frosting lingers over crime scenes. Similarity number 4. Both men lose children tied directly to their work. Difference number 3. Afton doubles down. God complex. I always come back energy. Henry slows down. Guilt, blueprints for containment. If your own child died because of something you built, would you try to outsmart death like Afton? Or try to make sure no one ever builds like you again, like Henry? Endgame, the salvage pizzeria. Henry invites every ghost and Afton himself into a cheerful TNT box. Bright posters, cheap plastic cups, the faint burnt cheese smell baked into the ceiling. Fans whir overhead, pushing hot air through paper-thin walls that are already soaked in grease. Similarity number 5. Both speak like managers giving instructions. Difference number 4. Listen to what they manage. Afton manages secrecy and denial. Always one more scheme, one more comeback. Henry manages naming and release, reading out a final roll call before he sets everything on fire. The sprinkler system, cosmetic. The vents, funnels for smoke. The fire treats them the same. Their reasons for staying in it could not be more different. If you were trapped in that office as the walls started to glow, would you see them as 2 monsters? Or just 2 different brands of the same thing? Psychology. Mirrors with cracks. So are they really that different once you strip down the animatronics? Let's put their psychologies side by side, where they genuinely overlap control obsession. Each believes a room can be made to obey. Afton corrals children and death. Henry corrals grief and ghosts. They both fetishize procedure, spring locks and training tapes versus salvage prompts and controlled burns. They hand you checklists instead of comfort. Instrumental morality. Neither is improvising. Afton's murders have a lab objective. Henry's fire has a ritual objective. From the night guard's chair, the coldness feels eerily similar. Complicity in the mask. The brand survives because 2 brilliant men solve problems with costume logic. Pretty shells over machinery. That DNA is on both of them. From your perspective at 2 a.m., fan humming, cameras flickering, do their motives actually matter, or just the fact that you're the one stuck in their system? where the line is sharp motive, Afton's core, grandiosity. He deserves to outlive the rules, even if he has to tear children apart to do it. Henry's core, atonement. He deserves to die if it means those children rest. Relationship to children. For Afton, children are inputs, lures, raw material, ingredients for remnant. For Henry, children are names to be preserved. Give gifts, give life becomes his daughter's mission that he adopts. End state, Afton's end goal. Keep existing, no matter what shape he has to wear. Henry's end goal, make sure no one like him or Afton gets to exist again. They both step into flame, one because he's cornered, one because he's finished. If you had their level of control, which path would you slide toward? Self-preservation or self-erasure? Rapid fire profiles, cam flips, quick mini profiles like we're flipping cams. Appearance, role, threat, William Afton, human, Springtrap. Appearance, tidy dad, scorched rabbit suit, flesh leaking through cracks. Role, creator and contaminant. Threat, systems that hide him. Late game immortality by sheer refusal to die. Henry Emily, engineer, architect. Appearance, gray, meticulous, expressionless, but unsettling voice. Role, designer of guardians, then designer of a trap for release. Threat, if you're haunted, his threat is heat. If you're the player, his threat is finality. No escape route planned. Same calm tone, different thing they're delivering you to. If one of these profiles flashed on your monitor as a stat card, who would you be more afraid to work for? No, theories. How fans read them, interpretations. Before we dive in, everything in this section is interpretation. Patterns fans draw from what the games show, not hard confirmed canon. Listen to the way they talk. Afton spits, I always come back. Henry in his eulogy calmly tells the killer, although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole, and then turns to my daughter and offers rest. Same ritual tone, different destination. Interpretation number 1, the mirror with a crack theory. In this reading, Afton and Henry are mirrors. Same skills, same stage, same tools. The crack is motive. One man's love of control becomes predation. The other's love of control becomes penance. Procedurally, they feel the same from your chair. Checklists, rules, rituals, but trace the direction. Afton's procedures point inward, feeding his obsession and his survival. Henry's procedures point outward, toward the trapped, the named, the ones who never got justice. Which matters more to you, the method or the motive? Interpretation number 2, the system made them theory. Some fans argue the Fazbear machine blurs the line. Corporate denial, liability paranoia, keep the doors open no matter what. In this view, Henry's long silence after early disappearances and his choice to stage a secret fire instead of going public makes him structurally complicit. Afton is the active evil. Henry is the engineer who lets a bad system use him until he turns it against itself. That doesn't make them equal, but it narrows the moral gap for anyone caught below them. Like you, the night guard. If you were upper management at Fazbear, would you sign off on Henry's plan, or shut it down and let the ghost linger? Interpretation number 3, the two priests theory. Treat FNAF like a dark religion. Afton performs black sacraments, dismantling, harvesting, binding, turning suits into altars. Henry performs counter rituals, naming, gathering, burning, turning a restaurant into a funeral pyre. Same liturgy tools, animatronics, rooms, rituals, opposing gods, self versus the lost. The similarity isn't an accident, it's counterspell design. If this is a religion, whose ritual do you think actually wins in the end? Afton's corruption or Henry's purification? Canon versus interpretation. What's solid? Let's cleanly separate what's pretty solid from what we're inferring. Supported by the games. On screen, in text, Afton kills tied to Fazbear location. He survives a Springlock failure and returns as Springtrap Scrap Trap. He pursues or benefits from Remnant-style experiments. Henry designs Lefty to contain the puppet. He runs a faux pizzeria in fnaf 6 to salvage and burn all haunted entities. He addresses his daughter and the killer in a recorded finale. He does not plan an escape route for himself. Strongly suggested, heavily implied, Afton weaponizes kid-facing tech. Henry's earlier inaction curdles into guilt-driven planning. Henry's tone is acceptance. Afton's is refusal. The puppet's protective mission becomes Henry's responsibility as much as Charlotte's. Inferred, fan interpretation. How early Henry suspected William, either some guardian tech, security puppet Lefty, crossed ethical lines before the end. How much corporate pressure pushed Henry toward a secret furnace rather than public justice. The canon keeps motivations impressionistic, but their trajectories are consistent. From those trajectories alone, who chose their monstrosity and who chose their punishment? Conclusion: two kinds of monsters. So, are they really that different? From the office chair at 2 a.m., fan buzzing, stale pizza smell in the air? Maybe not. Both men turn your shift into a ritual. Both hide knives inside policy. Both speak with the calm of someone who already decided your night for you, but follow the smoke. One builds hell to hide in it. The other builds hell to end it. Same toolbox, opposite prayer. Strip away the animatronics and fnaf hands you a simple, nasty choice. One monster kills children to live forever. One monster kills his own legacy to make sure no one like him does again. Which kind of monster scares you more? Which one do you think the Fazbear world actually needs? And if you're honest, which one would you end up being? Alright, that's our breakdown of R. William Afton and Henry Emily. Really that different? The faces and functions that rhyme, the story beats that bind them, and the interpretations that split their motives like night and day. If you enjoyed this breakdown, remember to leave a like, comment down below with which monster you'd side with and what you want to see next. And of course, subscribe to Horror Lorekeeper for more FNAF and horror content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.